Okay, Monday, June 17th. It's been some time since I made a video, so I'd probably be a little bit out of practice. You just double check my microphone. Yeah, blue light's there. Got a bunch of pigeons here, rats with wings. So, all right. Yeah, last 2 weeks, baby is approaching 6 months, so she's got the teeth coming. And man, she's in some pain, and we feel it. Her swimming has improved. We're on the 4th or 5th swimming lesson now. We tried a new place at Leoland. They have a better pool, but not as good instructors as the original place we're going to, a place called Dolphin. So we'll probably switch back to Dolphin. It's they're both the same distance. I'm trying to figure out which way to go. Maybe I'll just go this way. Yeah, this is a new way you haven't seen. I'm just exiting the gym, and heading into the woods. I don't know, the woods are great in person, but not that exciting on video. But yeah, there's some scenery back here, some old Soviet bloc buildings and what have you. I mean, this one here looks totally, this looks like my high school, Downers Grove High School, just a little bit different color, but yeah, it looks abandoned. I don't see anything going on in there. So there's a lot of buildings like this all over Lviv. Town is growing, but there's still a lot of empty buildings and what have you. I think I've taken you guys on the track before. There's a jogging track over behind this building, with basketball courts and stuff. I have a video, but I'll take you on a new way today. So what are we talking about today? I noticed in the comments a lot of people don't like my ideas about immigration, but I can tell you, yeah, we have, I want to talk about two things, immigration and fertility today. But yeah, a lot of people in the comments don't like this concepts of immigration, but Ukraine is not only in a war where they're losing a lot of men, but they're also having a fertility crisis where they're just not having a replacement rate of people. I mean, as you can see, there's a lot of old people here. There's some old lady behind me. I mean, the country is mostly old people, and there's not enough people having kids. You would be fooled if you lived in my apartment building. There's a lot of families, a lot of kids there, but that's like a upper middle class, husband, wife working in IT or small business owners. But generally for most of Ukraine, people are not having kids, and we're not having immigrants here. And so the population is dwindling. And if the Russians just keep a slow burn on this war for another 10 years, it's going to be catastrophic. I mean, that's the other big elephant in the living room here, is the population. It's in pretty severe decline. And so how do you address that? America's always addressed it with immigration. Scandinavia is addressing with immigration, and some people said Sweden has gone down since they've taken in immigrants and everything. But it all depends who you ask. I mean, the richest countries in Europe are the Scandinavian countries, where they're having a high level of immigration. They're having the highest GDP per capita. If you look at statistics, unemployment is very low. I mean, in Norway, Denmark, Sweden, they have extremely low unemployment rates. And there's a lot of companies, a lot of jobs, especially skilled jobs. So I don't think I would blame the immigrants. I would maybe blame the system if they're not getting jobs or they're being unruly. You definitely need the people, but it's how you get them to integrate themselves is what the question is. Like in America, they give you very little, so you're kind of forced to work. And people are arguing about immigration, but overall in America it's worked. I mean, look at Silicon Valley. It's 51% foreign-born people are in Silicon Valley as CEOs and leading the companies. It's 51% are immigrants. And It's incredible what they're producing. I mean, like one Silicon Valley company produces more than some of the countries in Europe. I mean, look at NVIDIA. It's founded by a Taiwanese immigrant who came over when he was 9 years old. And, you know, he was working at Denny's, and his company's bigger than the whole German stock market. So I would say Ukraine needs to do some American-style immigration, and they can bring people from Turkey, Palestinians. And the reason why I'm picking these Islamic immigration is it works. In Sweden, you have a lot of people from Iran, and one of them is a friend of mine, and he owns a company called Databricks, and he's a billionaire. And, you know, his family came over from Iran with nothing to Sweden, and then he went over to America and studied. But they have a culture of studying and strong family values. They're not drinking alcohol. They're not eating pork. The two biggest things that kill fertility, and this was according to my doctor here in Ukraine, you know, when we were going for the baby, you know, I'm a bit older, so is pork and alcohol. Those are the two biggest sperm killers out there. And that's exactly what a lot of people here eat and drink. Pig fat, sallow, and they drink. You know, so yeah, we need a little bit of diversity here, just like they're doing in Northern Europe. And it's working. I mean, if you look at the economic statistics, maybe some people are unhappy because they're not able to compete. You know, they didn't get the right skills or something, but they can change that. Instead of bitching about the immigrants, they can go back and study, and they even get to do that for free in those countries. It's not like America where you have to shell out a mortgage to go and study. I mean, it's for free. And the situation in America now is like I said, it's like how they manage the immigration, even the illegal immigration. We're coming into a big labor shortage. I mean, the unemployment is just not going up. It's still below 5%, which means companies are losing money because they don't have workers. So they're getting all these orders, or they're having all these customers lining up. This is like something you've probably seen at the supermarket. There's only 2 cash registers open and 100 customers, and then people just say, screw it, I'll come back later or go somewhere else. That's kind of how it looks like in real life. You're not getting, you know, you don't have enough people to manage your orders. You know, and then you lose money. Your customers go elsewhere, or they just give up. And so, yeah, and we're having this in Ukraine. I mean, I go to the supermarket, they have the self-checkout. Even that's getting backed up. But, you know, in some of the stores, they don't have self-checkout. They have. Now, this is some other road. I just found this by accident. I was here a couple years ago. There's an apartment complex here called Tiffany. But like, yeah, here in Ukraine, the other problem is building trades. We don't have enough building tradesmen. A lot of them have been drafted to the war. And so the apartment building construction is very, very slow. And it's very hard to find plumbers, electricians. So you could take these guys from Middle Eastern countries and get them employed. Most of the reason why people are frustrated and stuff is lack of work. But there's plenty of work here. And if Western countries want to rebuild Ukraine, there has to be an immigration model. And believe me, we need the diversity here. I mean, I get tired of eating borscht every single day in the restaurants. I mean, it's like we have pizza. Kebab is like the most exotic food we have, you know, but it's not really good kebab. It's just like the fattest part of the animal, and they just shave it and throw it into a pita. And yeah, so we have pizza and we have burgers. You know, obviously you saw McDonald's, that's our Michelin restaurant. And we have this one Ukrainian restaurant. But we could use some Vietnamese food, Thai food. You know, we could use better Indian food. Like I said, we got 2 Indian restaurants here, but I don't know. Neither of them are any good. You know, it's so, you know, it just creates some more kinetic energy. And you know, people argue about the crime rate and stuff, like, oh, the crime rate in Sweden went up. It's still pretty low, you know, when you look at the big picture, like compared to Paris or somewhere, you know, and other cities. But what I say about crime, it's an inevitability of a free country. You know, people have free will, and you can't watch everyone at all the time. You know, so you will have higher crime in France or Sweden or America than you will in North Korea or Russia you know, where people are locked down, and you know, the penalties are very excessive. You know, they have the punishment doesn't fit the crime. They're generally excessive. Or, you know, like in Dubai, right? If you insult the sheikh or make any social media comments critical of the sheikh, you're out of there. Or you're in jail, or you smoke a joint. That's like a death sentence in like Singapore. So, I mean, you know, freedom, there's two sides of the coin on freedom. But you can manage these risks. Like most things happen at night. Like my wife and I were in the house in bed by 9, 10 o'clock because most of the shenanigans happen at night. So it just, you have to be more self-aware to live in a free country. Your brain's got to be turned on. But yeah, so yeah, Ukraine has like this fertility crisis. A lot of it too is like the jobs don't pay well enough to support a kid. And I mean, the government support you get, like diaper money and stuff, you're talking about like $20 a month. And like one pack of diapers for 2 weeks is like $30. You know, so it barely dents the budget. And then you need to get the wipes, you need to get these like pads, and then there's always these like toys you got to buy for the baby and stuff like this. I mean, it's just insane. But most of the people I've met that are critical of immigration, they don't have anything going in their life. Most of them don't have a family. They're drinking a lot. You know, they're just bitching, you know, and everything. But you know, if you were like in Sweden 25 years ago, like I was, 20, yeah, I was 25, 99. Apartments outside of Stockholm were $50,000. And if you got yourself a good job at Ericsson, you know, and you just kept cruising, buying some Swedish stocks, you know, I don't know, an ABB or some of the, or, you know, in Spotify or something, you know, and you just kept on a steady pace and you worked your way up, you're well off now. Those people aren't complaining. You know, it's usually the people who can't compete, you know, who can't reinvent themselves, you know, and I've had to reinvent myself a few times. You know, I was an engineer in the Navy, and then I was in a corporate working job doing a project management, then I went into finance, financial crisis came, I went back to school for IT, learned some coding, learned how to write SQL queries, then got a job in IT at BlackRock as, you know, IT finance. And I've been in IT project management ever since, and have to keep going back and studying stuff. It sucks, it takes all your time, but that's the job, you know, to stay ahead. And but without immigration, like here in Ukraine, Ukraine won't make it. They have to come up with an American-style model, and they should almost be like asking to take the refugees and fill up the villages and get money from the EU, you know, because they give payments to refugees and everything, like some money and stuff, you know, to get them going. And that could, they would get a house like for $7,000. You can buy a house in the Ukrainian village for $7,000. I think this Lviv girl, or Olia, one of the woman YouTubers, you know, who are better looking than me, talks about that, how cheap it is to buy a house in a village. And you start filling up these villages, and then they can put a factory there. There'll be enough people, you know, you get enough people there, they can open a factory. I mean, this was a problem in West Virginia in the US, because immigrants don't go to West Virginia because people in West Virginia hate everybody. They can't open factories there because there's not enough workforce. So you get enough of people in the villages, and then of course you put in a good education system, you know, math, science, what is it, they call it STEM, science, technology, engineering, mathematics, curriculum. Then they can even open a semiconductor or a drone factory, or a, you know, some kind of technical factory that requires technical skills. You know, so yeah, here we are. This is the Tiffany development. So yeah, this is by Lev Construction, I think. It's they're nice, but they're right on the main road. But the back is on the park. Yeah, I'm looking. Actually, I just want to sidetrack. I'm really at odds. I want to get a new place on the Streetsky Park, but I'm just wondering how long this war will go and what the electricity situation is. and we're debating, to move to, I'm closing in on a job in Denmark. I have definitely a lot of options in the US, but like I said, the US, the whole car lifestyle, it's just, I don't like it. I really enjoy this, being able to walk around everywhere. This is freedom. But we'll see. We'll see. I mean, but I don't think this war is ending anytime soon. And people say Trump has a 67% chance of winning, but what the analysis I've seen is this Stormy Daniels thing really hit him hard. The Christians are having an existential crisis. Do they support a guy who committed adultery with a porn star? And then the women, the conservative women are, they might sit this out. And so the statistics I've seen, it's anywhere from neck and neck to Trump having a slight advantage. It's really changed. Betting odds have really changed. Polling has really changed, and I'm believing it this time. They learned their lesson not to fudge the polls. And Biden is raising a hell of a lot of money. I mean, he's, doing it $30 million at a time, and getting billionaires behind him and stuff. I mean, Trump's got billionaires behind him too, but they're the wrong kind of billionaires. They'll probably be the ones who throw him under the bus. 40 out of 44 people that have been in close to Trump or worked with Trump don't support him, have turned against him. And I don't think it's all conspiracy, like there's, guys in the back room telling him to do that. I think it's got to be Trump himself, Now here's another project, Icon. This looks interesting. And it's, see if they have any big apartments here. I'll have to look this one up and see if they have anything on the, the back of this faces the park. That might be actually interesting to look into this one. But yeah, now back to the immigration issue. So yeah, that's how it works. In Sweden, like, yeah, they said there's this suburb Husby, and you can't even go in there. I used to live in Husby. I used to live in Stockholm. I used to live in that suburb. It's mostly like people from Iran and some people from Somalia and stuff there. But I never had issue. And people say, "Oh, you're dark. You're whatever, American." But there were never people waiting, like checking in, saying, "Oh, you don't belong here" and stuff. I think that was all staged. Like, things happen. Things happen in big cities and free countries. I'm not going to play that down, but it's not so bad. It's not holding up business. I mean, we can see like Sweden, Finland, Norway. Their economies are like cooking. I mean, it's really something over there. As far as there's a ton of job openings, especially if you want to go into a small town. And then the cost of living also goes way down. Like this job I'm looking at in Denmark with Novo Nordisk, I'm still going through they did reference check, and now I got more interviews. So I'm like in the 5th or 6th round of interviews with them. But once you get into a company like that, it's a job for life. So I'm hoping it comes through. But they're opening a factory in a small town in Denmark, and houses there are like, $100,000 to $200,000. And I mean, these are like big houses, like American-sized houses, and they don't even have that many apartments. I would prefer to live in an apartment so I don't have to worry about the roof. But there's a ton of opportunity. It just depends what you're into. If you're into all this nationalism stuff and you're missing the opportunities in the stock market, or even in, flipping houses, or heck, even in crypto, there's opportunities to arbitrage and make money in cryptocurrency if you follow that stuff day to day. I mean, it just depends on what you're into and what you put your energy into. You can always find bad in stuff, if you look hard enough. It's not that hard. I mean, there's always two sides to every coin. So, yeah. So that's my piece on the need for immigration. But like here in Ukraine, there's going to be a ton of need for factories to make armaments. I mean, this is a fact of life here. Whether Trump comes in and settles the war, and there's like a Korean War truce, or this thing goes on for 10 years. Either way, Ukraine is going to need to be building tons of heavy stuff. They're going to need to make tires. They're going to need to make steel. They're going to need to make parts, plastic. It's just it's going to be like an industrial revolution here. You know, it's just going to be insane, the amount of stuff they need here to just keep up with the demands of the war. Or even if it becomes a Cold War, that even has demands. You know, the Cold War itself, you have to always have a supply of ammunition, you have to exercise the troops. So even during exercises, they're blowing off stuff. It's just insane, the amount of stuff they need here. And then, like you see these building construction projects, usually you can hear all this banging and riveting and stuff, but they go very slow. They have a handful of guys making the whole building, like one crane operator when they should have 4. They should have like 100 guys on site, but I've counted at most like 20, you know, putting up these buildings. These buildings, if they're fully staffed, could be put up in 6 months, even less. The Chinese have managed to put up buildings in a week, you know, like this. You know, they have enough people and everything, but here it takes even on the order of years to get a building done. So it's losing money. The building company CEO would love to get the project done faster and collect the, you know, people pay a deposit, then they pay a second payment, third payment, depending on the phase of when the building is done. I think they would love to get the buildings done and collect their money. And my interaction with refugees and stuff in Europe have been quite good. They really want their kids to study and become doctors and become engineers. You know, they're really taking advantage of the opportunity. I used to tutor English for an Iraqi family in Oslo. And this guy really wanted his daughters to go to engineering school. He wasn't some like Muslim fanatic and stuff. He was just escaping that. He was running away from all of that kind of madness and got a new start in Norway. But these nationalists, they focus on the 1%, you know, and I can tell you, like, with the Palestinians, they're in a bad situation, squeezed between Hamas and Israel, you know, and I think they would appreciate a good start in a place like this, a new start and everything. You know, it's always going to be some bad apples, but most people just want a calm life. That's what I've found, because I've actually spent a lot of time with different people and stuff. I've lived in the immigrant sections of town because I was an immigrant myself, and being the odd American, it's easy to you know, make friends and talk to people. If you just listen to their stories. They've went through some shit that none of us can even fathom. You know, having, you know, bombs falling in through the ceiling into the swimming pool at their school and stuff like that, like those Matini sisters from Syria, who, you know, had to swim across the Mediterranean, you know, into Europe and go on that long road through hostile countries like Hungary. You know, and look at Hungary, you know, this anti-immigrant country. It's a shithole. You don't make any money there. There's no jobs there. Economy there sucks, you know. But you look at Poland, they're more immigrant friendly and they're booming and they need people. I've met a lot of Indian people in Warsaw and a lot of foreign people there. So I don't know, I hope people change their perspective and, you know, Ukraine can become something more like a better version of America instead of a worse version of Europe. You know, that's what I'm hoping for, you know, so yeah. Anyway, that's all I got. I'll talk to you later.